Hey, Skubie!
Yeah, Fitz.
Let's not forget these two teams have taken each other on earlier in the season.
Can't. Derek King throwing a touchdown there. 2-quarterback system. Can't forget about that. And this pick by Luis Perez was costly, my boy.
Yeah, it looked like D.C. was going to run away with it, but Arlington got their way back into the game. This thing went all the way into overtime, and let's not forget it took a big defensive effort in overtime.
There it is.
To seal the win for D.C. That's right, just like D.C. and Arlington have been there before. Tom Luginbill has been here before, and we are gracious enough to have him. He's gracious enough to join us again, I should say. Lugs, I know we got questions to ask you about this game, but you are wearing the XFL Championship hat right there. You are a champion. All I can imagine, I don't know how much of a WWE fan you are, but I don't know if you remember, there was a match where Shawn Michaels had to knock Ric Flair out, and he said, "I'm sorry, I love you," right before he did it. That's what's going to happen here. I'm imagining Luke comes out with the championship gear, the championship ring, and he's like, "Sorry, there's a new champion. Got to have it." What's it mean to see a new XFL champion? We know we're going to get one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And listen, it's over 21, 22 years in the making of a lot of different iterations of trying to get this thing to work. So I think it's an exciting time. For me personally, it's kind of neat because the offensive line coach for the Arlington Renegades was our starting center on that team in Los Angeles in 2001. So he's got an opportunity to literally be the only two-time XFL champion on the planet if they can pull off the win versus DC.
That's incredible.
That's a great nugget.
Hey, I would like to see Tom pull out the sweet chin music
just
when
the kick, the high.
That would be great. But Luis Perez, only 4 games with this team, and the statistics say everything that you need to know about it. What has he added to Arlington?
Stability. And I think that's the thing that they just had a rotating carousel of poor quarterback play. They could run the football, all right? They're a physical team at the point of attack, but they couldn't get any form of consistency in the passing game. Now, I don't think Arlington is overly gifted at their skill position spots on the perimeter, meaning they don't have guys that when you break the huddle, they're going to scare the daylights out of you, but they can run the football. And if they can do that effectively, I think Luis Perez has provided enough stability and production, particularly off play action. And listen, he played his best game of the season in the playoffs. And so he's only been with them since week 8. And I think that obviously he's a big reason why they're in the position they're in now.
You mentioned productivity, and that takes me immediately to DC's quarterback, Jordan Ta'amu. We all know at this point, Offensive Player of the Year, big award for him. So when you're Arlington, what's the bigger threat, slowing down Ta'amu or having to figure out the running game overall?
Figure out the run game overall, because if you don't have an answer for that, you won't have to worry about the passing game. And I think that's what's made DC so difficult to handle is they're like a college offense. So they can run the football effectively, and they're very physical in their downhill run game, but then they incorporate the quarterback run game with the counter and the quarterback lead and the zone read, and they make it very, very difficult for you to have to defend every square inch of the field. Now, the good news is the strength of the Arlington defense is their defensive front, is their ability to play well versus the run. I had this game in this matchup in the overtime thriller in week 9 between these two teams, and they had some success versus particularly quarterback run. I think they're going to have a lot more of that this time around as well.
All right, speaking of that matchup in week 9, it was a thriller, as you just mentioned, but they're going to look at that tape and try to see what things that they can do different and those little nits and nuggets. What do you think these two teams have to do different from that game?
One thing stood out to me that was really, really important, and that was third down conversion rate for both offenses. All right, DC was over 62%. That's a staggering number, meaning that they were maintaining their possessions. When they had a third down, they converted it, kept the ball away from Arlington. Conversely, Arlington on offense only converted 27% of their third downs. They were off the field too often. So they didn't have the ball enough, and yet still found a way to get that game into overtime. They had the 4th and 15 make it and take it, which was super exciting. But I think it's really important if DC moves the ball effectively, which they've done virtually against everybody in the league, if Arlington can do the same on offense, then this thing's going to go deep into the fourth quarter, and it'll be very, very competitive. The thing that you've got to watch out for is if for some reason DC were to have the game that they had against Orlando in their only loss. It was the only game all year where DC went out and made more errors, turned the ball over more, was more heavily penalized than the opponent, and they lost the game as a result. DC cannot have one of those outings against this team.
All right, so let's ask our XFL champion, who will the next XFL champion be?
I think it's going to be DC. And I don't think it's just because I think DC is the better overall team. They are the better overall team. But I also think it's the environment. I think it's where they're playing. I think it's that home crowd. And it's a raucous stadium. It's a perfect venue for a sport like this. And I just think that offensively, DC is really, really good. Now, they've got their warts. They've got their flaws on defense, okay? But offensively, they have been tough to handle all year long. I give them the edge at home.
Lugs, we always appreciate your time, my friend. You are our champion, no matter who wins throughout the course of the game. Thanks for hanging out with us, brother.
You bet, man. Thanks for having me, guys.